Here knowing it, but we the ones who late. Our family, we the ones who gotta dedicate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to code, have a dream. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same empower at your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, got me on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is physical, we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Break it down here, I'm Dr. Boyce TV.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Dr. Boyce TV and the Black Financial Channel. I hope you guys are doing well today. If you haven't subscribed to the Black Financial Channel, you don't know what you're missing. The Black Financial Channel is where we bring you financial news from a Black perspective on a daily basis, every single day. And also, hello to everybody on drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. I hope you guys are doing well. Today, we have a topic that is both Black and financial, and it's really, really interesting, and I think it's really a keen way to kind of break down how the game works in America, how the political game works in America. Money is an important thing to understand because money kind of drives almost everything that you think is not driven by money, right? The goal of people with money is to make you think that whatever's happening is not being driven by money. But the reality is that when you look at a lot of, so movements that appear to be grassroots and things like that, whether it's Black Lives Matter or even some people have said this possibly about, ADOS movements and stuff like that. A lot of it usually has some big money donors behind it, so for example, with Black Lives Matter, there was a lot of conversation about George Soros kind of being behind that and pushing that. And then also, it was kind of fascinating for a lot of people when they saw that the ADOS movement founder, Antonio More, who's been a consistently anti-capitalist, consistently anti-businessman, consistently anti, anybody who builds a Black business like Jay Morrison or whomever, but suddenly he's best buddies with Byron Allen and he's on Byron Allen's platform, The Griot. And I remember when Antonio interviewed Byron Allen on my channel back when I used to let him use my channel back in the day. And the thing is that what it points out to, what it lets you guys know is that a lot of times things are not what they seem. But then on top of that, it's also a matter of kind of understanding that, money must fuel the movement. It's hard to have a movement without money. We can be anti-capitalist, anti-money, anti-this, anti-that. But really, if you don't have money to play the game, then you're not going to win the game. You're going to get kind of booted out. And so today, I thought that it would be really fascinating to kind of break down a person who's become kind of the darling of the conservative movement, the one that everybody's talking about, in the conservative spaces. And her name is Miss Candace Owens. Now, before we begin, I'd like to ask you guys, I'd like to do a quick survey. Give me a yes or no if you're familiar with who Candace Owens is, if you've heard her name, if you know anything about her, if you followed her, yes or no. Give me a yes or no if Candace is on your radar. Okay, I see a no from Valletta. I see yes from New York. She rose to the top. Most white men go for her type. Yes, no. Okay, Mecca says no, yes. Okay, so I see a mixture of yeses and nos. I see a mixture of yeses and nos, which means that maybe for 1 second we could do a brief primer on Candace Owens and who she is and why she matters, particularly for the conservative movement. So here's what Candace Owens basically is. Candace Owens is a woman about 30 years old. She's pretty young, and she is kind of the Black spokesperson for the whole, Black people. Let's all Black people go vote for Trump kind of thing. It's and I actually vibe with a liberation ideology that says you can't tell Black people who vote for it. I vibe with that. I respect that. I think that's a great point. The problem is that, she goes a little bit further beyond that point than she should by saying, we want you to be free. We don't believe you should be told who to vote for. Nobody has right to tell you what to do. Oh, buddy, go vote for Trump. Go vote for Trump. Trump is your solution. That's your guy. Vote for him. Vote for him. I'm telling you to go vote for him. Right. And that's where, I would get off that train. And I think that's what's interesting. That's why, you can kind of see through how Candace Owens kind of carries herself politically, what she kind of does, and so what I thought I would do, somebody brought Candace to my attention, because there was a little bit of a hypocrisy, or a little bit of a contradiction. Some might say even a lie that she told on Fox News. You know, if you're black and you're conservative and you rise up, Fox News will bring you in and embrace you. It doesn't matter if you're a black person who will say any crazy thing to make white people happy. They will always pay you money for that. There's a lot of good money that can be paid for that kind of thing. Now, Des says talk about stocks. I'll talk about stocks later. I've got a ton of videos on stocks. I also have a class. If you want to learn about stocks, Des, go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, THE. That's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. And I see you putting your comment in over and over and over again. Please don't do that anymore, because I would hate to have to block you from the channel, because you're kind of tripping a little bit. Kind of tripping, brother. But just go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com and you can actually learn about stocks all day long. I have probably 100 hours of content in there, and it's extremely good. So just go to the website, and we've got people right there on the line that can talk to you and advise you and tell you what to do next. And my programs, I'm a college professor and I teach college level classes and beyond, and they don't cost you more on a daily basis than a Popeye's chicken sandwich, I guarantee you. All right, so do me a favor, before we move forward, let's do our quick Black Power exercise. Two things. One, I'll remind you of the Black Core of 3. The Black Core of 3 is what we believe in the Black Business School. We believe Black people should educate our own children, create our own jobs, and support Black businesses. Those are the 3 things we believe in. That's where everything that we do kind of circles back to that. Number 2, if you could, please, this is very important for the growth of Black media, for the Black Financial Channel, and what we're trying to do. We reach about 1 million Black people a week, and so we'd like to expand that. And do we have a class on Bitcoin? Yes, go to theblackbusinesschool.com and just ask them about our crypto class. We do have a crypto program in there. So if you could, please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the notification bell, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed yet. So on the count of 3, and then type Black Power in the chat to let me know that you're done. Okay, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live, and then type Black Power in the chat. Let me know that you've done that. I would really appreciate that. That really helps us a lot. And we really love you guys for having our backs in terms of building this platform for you, for us. It's ours. We're all in this together. We're all doing this thing. My goal every day when I'm in here every day with you is to convince you that I'm committed to this game of pursuing Black intelligence and pushing it like a gospel throughout the world. Black intelligence, Black economic empowerment. That's what we believe in. So thank you very much, B. Butler and Michelle and K Thunder Music and Lisa Lewis and Karen Perry and I Am and Brandon and Linda and Darlene. And I thank you, Dual. As well. Dual's always in here, and I love Dual. So let me keep going. All right, so let's move forward. All right, so Candace Owens, let's break some things down. First thing that was brought to my attention was that Candace Owens was a little bit disingenuous recently when she actually claimed on Fox News that she had never experienced racism, right? That racial issues weren't a thing when she was coming up, things like that. And I just, when a Black person says something like that, come on now, come on, for real. Let's just do a quick survey, just so we can be fair to Miss Owens. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? How many of you have experienced racism in your life? Give me a yes or no. Have you ever experienced racism in your life? I'm going to sip my coffee while all the yeses pour in. Let's just in case Candace is watching, I need her to just kind of know that maybe her alleged experience was a little bit tough to believe. Let's just say that. Okay. And I'm going to say yes too. Racism's real in America. The Black bloc is real. Black people, when we're trying to pursue the so-called American dream in the typical way, we are typically blocked out from birth. Byron Allen said it right. Just in case you want to know where I stand on the Byron Allen lawsuit, I know Judge Joe Brown. By the way, the court hearings today, the Supreme Court decision will be made today. And you guys know I'm going to analyze that and break that down and give you my take on that. I've done extensive analysis on Byron Allen's lawsuit with Comcast. I did an extensive lecture on it in the Black Business School. If you go to theblackbusinesschool.com, just ask one of the techs, they can give it to you. I couldn't do it public because I broke down the Breakfast Club interview, but also I've talked about it publicly as well on drboycetv.com. I'm going to break it down again today. I support the suit. I support Allen because it doesn't hurt me to not support, or it doesn't hurt me to help him out. It doesn't take anything away from me to see him do well. right? I want to see Byron Allen do well. I believe in the lawsuit. I know Judge Joe Brown had a lot of issues with him, but I'm gonna tell you the truth. I love Judge Joe Brown, but I kind of felt that some of it was very personal. I felt that he had a personal issue with Byron Allen, which is very different from a public issue. But then again, remember Byron Allen on the Breakfast Club was trying to take his personal lawsuit and make it into a public thing, basically saying, look, they're doing this to me, but you're gonna be next. They're doing it to you too. And I don't know if that argument is relevant either, right? So basically, what you're really seeing is, a scenario where a guy is really trying to position his networks to get on the Comcast, and he's, in order to garner support, he's making it a broader civil rights issue than it actually is. I don't believe it's as big of a deal as he has led people. He's kind of sounded these alarm bells, and I'm not really sure if I agree with that completely. However, I support the suit because it doesn't hurt me to support. It's like, okay, sure, let the brother have the network. We know Comcast discriminates. We know that their memorandum of understanding with the black community wasn't proper. It wasn't ethically done. Byron's made a wonderful point that Al Sharpton is not a representative for all black people. I thought that was great. I was like, yeah, that's right. Who said Sharpton was the elected representative of black people? And it's insulting to black people when they assume that there's one guy that speaks for everybody. That's kind of crazy. So with that being said, moving forward with Candace Owens, one thing that was brought to my attention is that she claimed that there was no racism. And basically what they discovered actually was when they went into her past. See, when you say something crazy like that, you're just begging to be called out. And they researched it and found out like Candace actually knows that racism exists. Candace actually sued for racism. There was a guy back in the day who basically used racial slurs. It happened to be, now Candace, I think she was 18 at the time, 19. And there was some kid who was the son of the mayor who decided he wanted to make some phone calls and call her all kinds of nasty racial terms and threatened to hang her from a tree and all this other crazy stuff. And she ended up suing the city for not protecting her. And she got paid. She got money. Candace, I'm gonna just tell you the truth. Honestly, I smell gold digger on Candace, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna break this down for you. And because as a financial expert, I'm very specific in my definition of gold digger, right? Gold digger to me is somebody who's really sort of thinking about the money first. The money kind of supersedes everything else. The money is the motivator behind almost everything that they do. And I'm gonna put Candace in that category, and I'll make my argument as we go along. But here's what it says. And this is CBS Market Watch. I read about it also in News One. Let's see here. Turning Point USA's Candace Owens explains to Fox News host Laura Ingraham how Democrats were, quote, laying down the groundwork for Hillary Clinton to run by using awful name-calling rhetoric to fire up the base and ensure the pre-selected candidate would succeed Barack Obama in the White House. But there's a problem with how Owens packaged her theory. And Mehdi Hassan, a columnist for The Intercept, was all over it. So what Mehdi Hassan, this columnist says, she literally sued the local education board over racist bullying when she was a teenager in high school. So there was a case apparently where she sued and she got $37,000 in a lawsuit alleging that her high school failed to act after white teens threatened her and repeatedly hurled racial slurs. One of them reportedly referred to her as dirty, threatened to burn her house down and tar and feather her. Owens ultimately left school for 6 weeks, explaining at the time that it was too traumatic to attend class with the accused. Owens, who speaks with the likes of conservative activist Donald Trump Jr. and Charlie Kirk at college campuses across the country, is no stranger to stirring up controversy. Earlier this year, she told the House Judiciary Committee that concerns about white nationalism have been overblown and are more about helping Democrats win elections. She also tangled with Congressman Ted Lieu in a feisty clip that delivered viral gold for C-SPAN. Owens has yet to respond to the tweet, which continues to gain traction, but she typically doesn't shy away from confrontation, so stay tuned. Okay, so Candace Owens, basically, I'm not even gonna call it exposed. It's not, I'm not gonna get caught up in the whole gotcha moment of it all. You didn't have to show me this lawsuit for me to know that she was lying, right? I knew she was, like, come on. I mean, any black person saying I've never experienced racism in America, it's like somebody saying I've never breathed or I've never used the bathroom before. Like, come on now, give me a break. Here's the other interesting thing now too. This goes back to my theory on Candace Owens being a political gold digger. You see, politics is driven by money. Most movements and most things that you see in politics can't happen without a financial backer. You need a sugar daddy to make things pop. And Candace has sugar daddies because Candace struggles. She struggled financially. And so one thing I actually found here when I did some research on it is that there was a time where so Candace, it's interesting, you know, she goes and she went and attacked Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the congresswoman out in New York, and she goes after her for being financially irresponsible because Ocasio-Cortez, I guess, couldn't get an apartment in DC or something, right? I don't know what it was. But anyway, the interesting thing was that she actually herself, Candace, had a situation where I'm looking at this here. It says at age 28. Now, this was not long ago. This was a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago. This ain't like, you know, in the 70s or something, right? This is like a couple of years ago. Candace Owens, according to Nathan Bernard, he says at age 28, Candace Owens was so fiscally irresponsible that she rented a $3,500 apartment, lived there for 6 months rent-free, then claimed that she had gotten, quote, toxic mold sickness and threatened to sue her landlord to avoid paying rent, legal documents prove. Now, give me a yes or no. Do you guys smell BS with that? Do you smell bullshit with all this? Like almost like you go to a restaurant and they feed you, you eat all the food, and then after you're done eating all the food, after you've like burped because the food was so good, you're like, oh, that food was terrible. That food was so bad. I want my money back. Like that's a hustle, man. That smells like a hustle. That smells like a scam. And I'd be curious to see what her financial situation was at that time. I'd be curious to know how much money she had in the bank at that time. Typically, somebody who does something like that, honestly, is not somebody who's got the money to pay the rent. $3,500 a month apartment. I mean, my God, does anybody in here pay more than $3,500 a month in rent? Anybody? Yes or no? Yes or no? Does anybody? Do you pay more than $3,500 a month in rent? Give me a yes or no. Because I need to know how many. I'm trying to figure out if there's people out here that they're just balling out of control. Because I'm gonna tell you, me and Alicia, we're not ballers. We don't like to be flaunty, but we got a nice size house, about 6,000 square feet, big old house, and we don't pay nearly that much. We pay far less than that on our monthly mortgage. So does anybody else that $3,500 a month? That means that almost screams materialistic to me. Again, going back to my gold digger theory, I need money and I like money. I need money, I like money, so money becomes the motive. Money is the motive. Remember Lil Wayne's rap there? Money is the motive, right? Or money over hoes, right? Remember rappers used to say something, MOE, money over everything, right? They would give MOE tattooed on their arm. Like, Candace Owens might need to get MOE tattooed on her arm because honestly, I believe that she is a money over everything type person, which again feeds into my gold digger theory. I got more. I took notes, y'all. See, look, I wrote some shit down this morning. By the way, before we move on, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell and the subscribe button. If those on the Black Financial channel, some of you haven't done it yet. If you could, please do that right now. And on Dr. Boyce TV, please do that. That really helps the algorithm. Please make sure you subscribe. I think we're the coolest, smartest place on the internet. And we don't let everybody in. People coming here talking crazy, we just send them away because grown folks are talking, right? So this is a channel for smart people that want to get better, and that's what we do. And people who want to dig deep and want to understand things. So that's our objective. So please hit the thumbs up button. And just a reminder, next week or 2 weeks, I'm going to Ghana on an exploratory business trip with a billionaire Mike Roberts and a delegation, and my son's coming with me, and we're going to basically look through Ghana and see what's there in terms of understanding business opportunities that are there. I'm going to then flip that into a special lecture I'm going to do in the Black Business School. So if you haven't done at least the free membership in the Black Business School, go to theblackbusinessschool.com. We'd love to educate your entire family. We will set your family up for the next 3 generations. I guarantee it, because that's what I do. That's what I know. That's my experience. That's what I'm good at. I'm good at a lot of things, but that's one of the things that's the thing I'm best at, I would argue. So theblackbusinessschool.com. All right. So we know that she sued for racial discrimination and got paid off of the racial bullying. Most Black people that go through racial bullying don't sue. She did. She got paid. She moved into a $3,500 a month apartment, which is an insane amount of money, which means she likes to live comfortable. She likes to live good. She wasn't, like when I was 28, I'm gonna tell you where I was when I was 28. I was homeless at 28. In a confession, I too could not pay my rent when I was 28. I too was homeless. I actually didn't have a place to live. I had to move out because I could not pay my rent when I was 28 years old. That was the hardest year of my life. So 28 is not an easy time. But I will say this. I did not live in an apartment that, even if you translate the dollars to, because I was 28 a long time ago, so I'm a little bit older than Candace. But even if you translate it to $1999 or $2,000 or the year 2000, I did not, I didn't pay that much money. I think my apartment was like $700 a month, right? And I couldn't even pay that. I had to move, right? So we know she likes to live comfortable. Also, the fact that she did not pay the rent, to me, smells of financial distress. It tells me that she probably wasn't doing well financially. Now, let's keep going. This is one other thing you may not know. Candace Owens, according to News One, if I'm not mistaken, used to run just literally a couple of years ago, used to actually run an anti-Trump website. Did you know that? How many of y'all knew that? Yes or no? How many of y'all knew that just 2 or 3 years ago, Candace Owens, the darling of the Republican Party, the most pro-Trump, like pimps use that term, bottom bitch. You know what I'm saying? And not to be derogatory, but y'all know that term, bottom. Bottom. Let's call it the bottom black. Yeah, like she's Trump's bottom black, right? Did y'all know that just 2 or 3 years ago, Candace Owens actually ran an anti-Trump website, and she used to get attacked by conservatives because she was actually anti-Republican, anti-conservative back in the day. And so, when somebody flips teams like that, it's no different. It's almost the way, a football player who plays for the Dallas Cowboys, he gets traded to the Washington Redskins, and now instead of trying to score points against the Redskins as a Cowboy, he's scoring points against the Cowboys as a Redskin. A person like that, it ain't like he's got no special loyalty. He's not gonna play differently for the Redskins just because he used to be a Cowboy, because he don't care nothing about the team. He's out there for the dollar bills. He's going to the team that pays him the most money, like almost like a bounty hunter, right? Or a hired contract killer. Like, I don't care who you want me to kill. I don't care who I'm killing for. Just pay me and I'll go handle my business, right? And so that's very different from somebody who is sort of righteously committed to the specific cause that they allege to embrace, right? She's not a person who would be doing this for free. Do we at least agree on that? Do you at least follow what I'm saying on that? Candace Owens would not, if the money was gone, chances are she wouldn't be running for Trump. So here's what's going to probably happen. Candace is trying to become the next Omarosa. That's what she's positioning herself to be. That's the dangers of media, is that when people go out here and they act like ridiculous fools and then they get rich from it, you have other people that will copy that behavior because they too believe, well, if I get on TV and start cooning, I can get paid also. That's why reality TV pisses me off, right? Because you got all these poor little children growing up thinking that the way for me to be financially successful is to go on TV and embarrass my family, right? The way for me to get ahead is for me to go get in some crazy relationships where I'm getting smacked up and catching an STD at the same time, right? Seriously. Or the way for me to be successful is for me to be like that rapper who can't pay his bills and is about to go to jail for child support, right? And so ultimately for Candace Owens, her version of that is Omarosa. Like, I believe Candace wants to be the next Omarosa. Here's what's going to happen with Candace Owens. I have a crystal ball. It's in my bedroom. I rub it every morning. And I say, crystal ball, tell me what's going to happen in the future. And I read the crystal ball, and the crystal ball told me this morning that within the next 2 to 3 years, mark my word, within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm going to do a video when it happens. Within the next 2 to 3 years, maybe sooner, you're going to see Candace Owens bail on Donald Trump. Within the next 2 to 3 years, maybe sooner, you're going to see Candace Owens jump ship on Trump, write a tell-all book, and body slam that son of a bitch the same way Omarosa did. Why? Well, because she's his bottom bitch. Like, I'm just real. Y'all know the pimp term, right? She's his bottom bitch. And the thing about a bottom feeder kind of person is the loyalty's not there. They're hired contract killers. That's what they are. So what's going to occur is she's going to flip on him when the money stops flowing. When Trump and the Republicans are no longer paying her bills, she's going to go out as the little black girl victim and write a book and do interviews and say, I was so misled, and and then they told me blah, 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 and then Trump, and then he grabbed my ass on a Tuesday, and I acted like I liked it only because I was so afraid to say anything. Right? Where's my money at? You're gonna, you can write it on a cashier's check if you want to. Bank of America, that's where you can make the deposit, right? Like she'll be showing up to get that money, and I believe she's going to betray Trump at some point because she has no loyalty to anything in particular. She just sort of does what pays the bills. Let's keep going. Last reason why I believe Candace Owens is a gold digger. Besides the fact that she's, sued for racial discrimination in order to get paid and lied about it. 2, she couldn't pay her own rent just a couple of years ago. 3, she's trying to become the new Omarosa. And I'm gonna tell you, Fox News pays well. Fox News pays very well. The other day, I had a funny little jab with my homeboy Mark Lamont Hill out of Philadelphia, brilliant scholar, but he's a little too liberal for my taste, but he's still a smart guy. And so he made fun of me for allegedly being a hardcore capitalist. And actually, though, if you've heard me speak more than once, you know that I'm not a capitalist. I don't believe in hardcore capitalism. I do believe in business development and free enterprise as a pathway for the creation of Black jobs so that we can make our community stronger. Because every movement, as I mentioned to you before, every movement needs economic fuel. I don't care what your movement is. If you ain't got no money, then eventually the movement's going to die because all these people that are anti-capitalist are going to have to go to work for a capitalist on Monday. So they're going to have to put down their picket signs so they can go show up at the factory because they got bills to pay. Everybody got bills to pay. Do you have bills to pay? If the answer is yes, say yes. Let's make that clear. Everybody's got bills to pay. So at some point you have to find a way to pay the bills. But anyway, so Mark made fun of me for being allegedly a capitalist. And I said, well, actually, Mark, I just kind of laughed it off. I said, well, good thing I'm not a capitalist, because he was sort of talking to me in a kind of a slick sort of way. And I said, well, good thing I'm not a capitalist. I said, but it's kind of interesting to me though, because I remember you were driving a really nice Jaguar back when you was working at Fox News. And last time I checked, Fox News is a capitalist organization, right? Like, so were you rejecting those checks from those capitalist organizations? Did you tell those capitalist pigs to shove their money up their ass, or did you take your check every week the way you were supposed to? Right? See, the thing about it is that it's okay to get your bills paid. It's okay to partner with people that can help you to succeed financially. I think what is not okay is to try to sort of take a soapbox of condemnation of all things capitalist, but then yet you're working for capitalists and serving capitalists in order to pay your bills. So I would say that with going back to Candace Owens, and actually I went on too far of a tangent where I lost my tether to my initial point. So I apologize for that. So I'm gonna be careful about that. But going back to Candace, I kind of think that when you're talking about money and business and free enterprise, it's very important to know that money kind of flows through this whole entire thing. And the people that tend to win the game tend to be people who understand where the money's at, who have access to resources, and who know how to allocate their resources to their purpose. Now, the last point I wanted to make in terms of Candace Owens, sort of being in that gold digger category is, has anybody seen her husband? Has anybody seen Candace Owens' husband? Give me a yes or no if you saw either the picture of Candace Owens' husband or the pictures of their beautiful wedding. Anything about that? Anybody see? Let me tell you about Candace Owens and her husband. Woo, Lord, this is a good one. Before I actually go into that, though, I'm going to read this comment. Thank you, George, for your donation. I appreciate that. He says, does the Black Business School have a grade school curriculum? Yes. We have a program for children. We educate children. We have a business school for children at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. It's an excellent curriculum with self-study exams, as well as a little certificate, a little degree that your child can get. And I want you to, when your child goes through the program, I want you to print the degree out and put it on their wall, because they're going to be very proud of that. And they're going to, in their mind, you remind them that you had your first college professor when you were 7 and you went to business school when you were 7. That's going to put them 12 years ahead, or 11, 12 years ahead of the kids who go to college and don't start learning business till they're 18. That's one of the power plays. That's what I call Project 2070, where I believe that if we are able to reach the world, Black people will be ahead of the rest of the world in terms of economic intelligence by the year 2070. It's going to take 1, maybe 2 generations, but that's really the trajectory that we're on. I guarantee it. Let's see here. And can the Black Business School start one so we can start homeschooling our kids? Well, there you go, George. It's already started the program. We also have workbooks that we invented for Black children. We also have flashcards we invented for Black children. So we work with Black educators to put this together for you. So if you want to look at the flashcards and workbooks, you can go to financialworkbooks.com. That's financialworkbooks.com. And the digital program is at blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. All right. So here's Candace, the thing with Candace Owens' husband. First of all, I'll just say this. Candace Owens' husband looks like his name is Chad. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm saying. I don't want to be all like anti like interracial marriage and all that, because I got people in my family who married people who are not black. And actually, the person that she married was a very nice guy. So I'm not against that per se. I'm not against the idea of you falling in love with who you fall in love with. But so when Candace married Chad, I don't know his name. I got to look up his name. I'm just gonna call him Chad until I find out. So check this out. Here's what's fascinating, right? It's like, remember I told you, the swirling thing can be, it's fine. I don't have a right to judge that, right? She can marry Chad if she wants to, but there's a difference between somebody who says, I didn't expect it to happen, but I just happened to fall in love with this person who doesn't look like me. Now, just so you know, I told you guys 5-6 years ago, that'll never happen with me. Even before I was even dating Alicia, the woman I'm marrying on July 11, 2020, all of y'all are invited. Even before, years before we started dating, I told you guys, I said, if I ever show up and tell you that even though I didn't expect it, I just fell in love with Becky, because Becky, she's just so wonderful, so sweet, and she understands my blackness. Like, if I ever said some shit like that to you, I told you guys, I want you to unsubscribe. I want you to not follow me. I want you to, if you see me on the street, I want you to back up about 20 steps, get a running start, and then I want you to cock your leg and I want you to come kick me square in my balls. Seriously, like kick me square in the nuts and not take me out and clothes hang me on the street if you want to. Because that means I've clearly lost my damn mind. Because I told y'all, I believe deeply, at least when it comes to my strategy on wealth and accumulation and building, it doesn't make any sense for me to accumulate all this wealth if I'm just going to give it away to another community. It does, no disrespect, it just is what it is. Now, so that's a legitimate critique that people have had of, say, Byron Allen. And in case you haven't seen Byron Allen's wife, she's like Becky Jr., right? I don't know her name, but there you got with Chad and Becky. Those have to be the names for today. But anyway, so here's what's interesting. Candace Owens did not marry this dude like on some old like, oh my God, I've known him since childhood and we've just been in love. We used to play in the sandbox together and we're just so close and blah blah. No, Candace Owens got engaged with this dude after knowing him for 2.5 weeks. 2.5 weeks. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? 2.5 weeks. And they got engaged on social media, on FaceTime. I'm going to read this to you. I'm going to quit calling him Chad because I'm sure he's got a name. She's on some, it's basically a Meghan Markle play. It's a Meghan Markle come up. It's Scandal with Kerry Washington. It's the whole typical model. It's whatever that lady's name, the lady who has the show now. You know what I'm talking about. The one who she also married the white dude. I can't remember her name. Y'all know what I'm talking about. She just had the baby. I forgot her name. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Like here's the deal. Here's what I look for. Honestly, I ain't gonna lie. I don't know about y'all, but I get it when I see like these relationships. I like to read the background because the thing is, when you get older, like when you get to my point in life, I'm not an old man, but I'm not a young man. It's like you start Tamron Hall. Thank you, Tamron Hall. You get these spidey senses, you get these instincts, right? You can tell what's real and what's not, or you get a sense of what's real and what's not. And one thing I look for is when I see somebody, marry outside of the club, outside of the melanated club, I start wondering, I'm like, I bet you, okay, she's in entertainment. I bet you he's an entertainment industry executive. I bet he is a millionaire. I bet he has some sort of economic power that's going to be a come up for her. And that's why now Tamron Hall went from being obsolete to having her own show, because it's not a coincidence that her husband happens to be an entertainment industry executive, or it's not a coincidence that Kamala Harris, again, went to an HBCU, met thousands of black men, right? But ends up married to this guy who just happens to be a very powerful attorney who has connections and resources that would help her on the come up, which makes sense, right? Because remember when Kamala Harris was 28 or 29, she was dating Willie Brown, who was about 145 years old at the time. I mean, maybe 146, but he was like really, really old. Like he was old enough to be her grandfather's grandfather, it seemed like. But yet somehow she was like in love with him. And Judge Joe Brown was meaner than me. Judge Joe Brown said some, woof. He said she got her knees dirty in that courthouse to get those jobs that she got. I'm not gonna say nothing like that because I think that's kind of mean, right? I mean, because I mean, you know, dirty knees, they scar you for life, and it's hard to wash that out, you know, even with the best soap. But still, you know, it kind of speaks to this. Again, it's not even a judgment thing, because everybody's looking for some sort of opportunity or a connection, right? I think that it sort of speaks to a narrative that makes me a little bit uncomfortable, in the sense that it's kind of like no different from like the brothers that are scared to deal with black women, and they go, you know, they go chase Becky, and they make all these excuses as to why black women couldn't step up to the plate, and they weren't good enough, and they all do this and they all do that, right? In a way, as a black man, I feel some kind of way. I feel kind of like, okay, wait, you're constantly telling me that black men are, you know, we're filled with toxic masculinity. We don't have this, we don't have that. We, the brothers, won't do right, you know, and that kind of bothers me a little bit. But anyway, so basically, Candace Owens did a Meghan Markle. She married a British Tory. Let me read this title. It's an interesting title. American conservative black commentator Candace Owens marries British Tory peer's son after whirlwind 8-month romance with Nigel Farage as guest of honor. I don't know who Nigel Farage is. I think he's a big guy in Britain. But this is not a normal dude. This is not, you know, Chad that she met, you know, at, you know, I don't know, at like Whole Foods, right? This is a guy that is part of, connected to British political power and royalty and money, right? This is Kerry Washington in Scandal. This is a Meghan Markle. This is a come up, which goes back to my initial point about sort of the gold digger theory. You know, I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking, where I was really fascinated with financial psychology and how money drives us to do a lot of things, and so money and relationships became really of interest to me, and you see this all the time. So anyway, let me read more. The political commentator, 30, married George Farmer, the son of a baron, over Labor Day weekend. They got engaged over a FaceTime call after dating for 2.5 weeks. Yes or no? Give me a yes or no. How many of you believe it makes sense to marry, or to agree to marry somebody when you've known them mostly on social media for 2.5 weeks? Yes or no? How many of you think that would be a wise decision? If your child told you, I met him, he's a great guy, Mom, and we were on Facebook one day, and we were chatting on Instagram or something, and we did a video chat, and I decided that I want to spend the rest of my life with him because I've known him since, you know, the beginning of the month. And the whole 21 days that I've known him, he's been a wonderful person. Actually, I'm sorry, not 21 days, 17 days. The whole 17 days that we've been friends on social media, I just have found him to be an amazing guy. He's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I'm going to marry him, and I need you to accept that without any questions. How many of you would think that makes sense? Right. Somebody says, if she's rich, hell yes. Well, don't just marry because somebody's rich. I'm telling you, your happiness should be worth $1 trillion to you. Because I'm telling you, you can be rich. If you're rich and unhappy, then that's just not a good life. But what it also speaks to me, it says to me, is that a lot of times when you see a person, again, this is an armchair theory here, but a lot of times when you see a person that, you know, is chasing money, you're chasing the bag, getting married for money, whatever, or appears to be, and doing things to get money, or getting closer to people that have money, no matter what. Usually it's because they've had, you know, financial trauma. They've had, you know, they grew up where money was scarce. So I'm going to go research how Candace grew up. I wonder if she has a like little poor black girl from the hood kind of story. I'd be curious to see if that's part of her narrative. So anyway, let me see here. Wedding, let's see, the couple tied the knot at the Trump Winery in Virginia after 8 months of knowing each other. The wedding guests included John Boyd, conservative radio show host Larry Elder, Brexit Party leader Nigel Farage, and Charlie Kirk, who founded right-wing Turning Point USA. New details and photographs of the couple have emerged, where they thanked Eric Trump for the incredible venue and sunset, and starting married life with a cake topped with a Make America Great Again hat. So their cake had a MAGA hat on the top of it. Trump firebrand Owens from Connecticut has courted controversy since she burst on the political scene. Her husband, whose father is a British conservative peer, Lord Michael Farmer, is equally as controversial and was a candidate for the Brexit Party in Britain, but didn't win a seat in the European parliamentary elections. This marriage happened, recently. Oh my God, I didn't know. This was like a few weeks ago. So she's a newlywed. This is like a month ago. So yeah, so here another prediction. I consulted the crystal ball, and the crystal ball is telling me that this marriage will last probably maybe 2 years. So look for a divorce, in this marriage within the next couple of years. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if Candace switches to the victim, if she suddenly becomes the little black girl who was exploited and used and abused by these white guys who suddenly think that she's the greatest thing in the world. So that's my theory on Candace Owens. I'd like to take a little vote. Let's do the gold digger vote. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you think Candace Owens is probably a gold digger? Give me a yes or no. Do you think Candace Owens is a gold digger, or she's just a person who happened to, sue for racial discrimination, even though she lied about it, and collect $37,000? Who happened to move into a $3,500 a month apartment and then not pay her rent after 6 months? Who happens to be branding herself as a new Omarosa on Fox News and is going around giving $20,000 a pop speaking engagements all around the world? Who happens to have recently run an anti-Trump website 2 or 3 years ago, but is now Trump's bottom bitch? Who happens to have married a wealthy white boy from London, who she knew on FaceTime for 2.5 weeks before getting engaged? Is that just, okay, somebody said the word opportunist. I think that might be a good term to use. Maybe opportunist is a term we can use. I see some no's in here. Okay, I see a few no's, but I saw a lot of yeses. So, so it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm making stuff up. Maybe I'm just crazy. But I think Candace is she's pinning herself in a place that's going to be hard to climb out of years later when she ends up where Omarosa is right now. Remember, right now, Omarosa, the person who went from being Trump's bottom bitch, to being like, the anti-Trump, right? It looked kind of silly when she did that, right? It was embarrassing for her. I think Candace Owens is setting herself up for the same situation. So I'd be curious to see how this plays out. I don't enjoy her political manipulation of the black community, because what she does is she takes points that even someone like myself would agree with, and then she flips that into this is why Donald Trump is wonderful. This is why we're going to make America great again. This is why racism does not exist. This is why black people need to just stop complaining. This is why white people are wonderful. That sort of narrative. And I think that's the problem. You can't have an honest discussion about race in America without sort of, dealing with the nuances of the challenges of being black. And I think that's just quite unfortunate, because I think that if Candace Owens had, some financial security to where she didn't have to go sell herself to the Republicans, she could actually be a wonderful ally for what we're trying to build in the community. So at the end of the day, if you want to know my political opinion, I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm just black. I'm voting for black people. That's who I'm voting for, and that's all it is. So I'm hoping I hope we get the reparations check. I think that's fine. I don't think it's going to be big enough. But what I really am hoping for is that we just get our stuff together and start building our own. And that's where we're going to go as a community. I believe in unity. I believe in building our own. And I think that's what's going to make us great. So let's make Black America great again, or Black people great again, not even Black America, because this is a global thing. So when I go to Ghana, I'm going to come back with a full report, let you guys know what I saw. Once again, our program for children, if you want to enroll your children in our Black Business School for Children, go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. That's blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. It's a great program for beginners, right? It's got puppets and cartoons and stuff like that. So it's very easy to kind of digest the information. So if you're intimidated by financial topics, just go to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. And even if, we have 70-year-olds that are in that program too, because it makes things very basic. And once you go through it, though, you'll have a financial literacy level that exceeds the average college educated adult, which is one of the keys that's going to put us ahead. Because if you look at Candace Owens' whole life, you look at her whole trajectory, you look at everything that's happening in American politics, it's all driven by economic power. So if you want to win in life, you want to have economic power. That is how you can literally shapeshift anything happening in your world and make it into whatever you want it to be. So feel free, blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Just talk to our specialists that are on the line right now. They can talk to you and they can help you out. All right, guys, and some of you are asking about this shirt. We actually have a shirt, or sort of a little t-shirt spot if you want to go check it out. It's wokeblacktees.com. That's wokeblacktees.com. So feel free to go check that out. All right, guys, thank you for hanging out. Make sure you please hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, especially those on the Black Financial Channel. Some of you may not have subscribed yet. TheBlackFinancialChannel.com, daily financial news from a Black perspective. Also, I'm going to come back in later on today and talk about what's going on with the stock market in between my meetings. I got meetings all day, but I'll be popping in all day on the BlackFinancialChannel.com, and so you should definitely subscribe. So have a good day, guys. I'm out of here. See you soon. Be good. Peace.